ready? Go. Torch down, alright, enter. Okay. Alright, we're in. It's a couch on fire, Anthony. We're going to look around for casualties, okay? Okay, I have a casualty here, Anthony.
I'm a station officer here in the Athlone Fire Station. I started in the brigade in November 1989, where I served for 7 years, firstly as a firefighter. In Mullingar, went from firefighter to sub-officer.
This station here that we're in at the moment was opened in 1984. Athlone is a rostered station, which means we're part-time working on a pager. The rostering system works out on a 9 personnel on call, 3 on standby and 3 off call. The roster works on a 15-week basis. So for the likes of your chimney fire, your grass fire, 9 personnel are called in. The 9 personnel, 1 appliance will leave the station. For the likes of car crashes and for house fires, 2 fire appliances will leave the station.
Day-to-day running of this station is my priority, to ensure that all the appliances here are kept in a state of what we refer to as operational readiness. One of my roles is to turn out for incidents and take charge of incidents. Normally what I do is I allow the officers below me to turn out to the smaller incidents like rubbish, chimney fires. The management would expect me to go out and take charge of the larger incidents like house fires, chemical incidents, road traffic accidents, which I do. We go out and we deal with them. And then on top of that, I actually train the firefighters to deal with these incidents. I'm one of 2 training officers for the county. We train most of the firefighters in this county at this stage. We have training nights 1 night a week, every Tuesday night between 7 and 9. From a call-out perspective, we average about 400 calls a year, which is probably the busiest station in this county.
When you dial 999, you go through to an ERCOM operator, who in turn will pass you on to ERCC, so it's the Eastern Regional Command Centre in Dublin. It's operated by Dublin Fire Brigade. So the details of the incident, your name, your address, the type of incident, all that relevant information is given to the firefighter on the end of the line. He in turn will send a signal down the line to operate the pager system that we have. That's the noise it makes. So when that goes off, if it's a single pump turnout, there's 9 pagers will go off at the same time. So the pagers have gone off and firefighters come into this area, the muster bay. What they need to do now is get into their fire kit. So the fire kit consists of fire boots, which have steel soles, steel toe caps, leggings, jacket, helmet and gloves. All the equipment that we have is fire retardant. All the leggings are left with the boots still in them. It's just so you can get into them quickly. So this is a flash hood that if we need to use breathing apparatus, this is used to keep sides of the ears and that protected from any heat. And the hose is our first line of protection. So there's nobody allowed in near a fire without having the protection of a hose. So the hose will, whether we're using a fog or a jet to extinguish or just to push the heat back. You know, so that's our first line of protection. They will go on fire. You know, I wouldn't like to speculate on what heat will go on fire on. That's why we always have the hose as our first line of protection.
We expect the lads to show up and we expect the fire engine to roll out the door, the front door of the station here, within 5 minutes during the day and within 7 to probably 8 minutes at night.
I have been a firefighter here for the last 14 years, joined in 2000. I lost a friend through a motorcycle accident and I was with him at the time, and I would have loved to been able to help at the time, and I felt so helpless, so I sort of strived to go for the job, you know, whether it be a chimney fire or house fire or whatever. I'm the man fighting the fires as such, you know, or operating the equipment to cut people out of cars.
first thing we say as an officer that I would have to do at a scene is carry out what's called a dynamic risk assessment. I would have to more or less weigh up the situation we're looking at, identify any hazards that are present that may cause, the potential to cause an injury, either to one of the firefighters or to a piece of equipment that we're going to be using. And I would have to come up with what we call a plan of action, how we're actually going to deal with that incident while working around those hazards. It's not always easy. People expect us to just arrive, jump out of a fire engine and start work straight away. If only life was that simple. The safety of the firefighters is absolutely of the utmost, in my opinion. If I deem that it's too dangerous, say, to allow the lads to start work, well then we won't. Very seldom actually happens. At the end of the day, when everybody else is running out of a building, we're expected to run in.
On this appliance, we carry 400 gallons of water in a tank, which is in the middle of the appliance. Our first line of defence at nearly every fire is this hose reel here, which we call the first aid hose reel. It's on a drum, so it's 180 metres in length, so we can get a good distance away from the appliance to the fire. Used a lot for rubbish fires. If we go to a house fire, car fire, anything, it is our first line of defence. We then have assorted hoses down along the line. We've got hoses of 70mm, we've got hoses 45mm, and at the back we've got a hard suction hose that in the event that we don't have a water supply locally, i.e. from a hydrant, we can access water from drains, from bog holes, anything like that, using the hard suction and using the pump at the back for lifting water out. If we can't get this appliance towards an open source, we have the facility of a portable pump, so we can carry this across fields. So we can make down to the open source, and then we can lay down a line of hose from the open source to the appliance, and then from the appliance to the fire. We've got a roof ladder, we've got a 10.5 metre ladder, and we've got a 13.5 metre ladder. We also carry a short extension ladder for access into attics. There's space for 4 firefighters. Behind each firefighter there's a breathing apparatus set, which consists of a cylinder, backplate, face mask. We would normally use those at car fires, house fires, or any place where there's a lot of smoke and where we need a supply of air to sustain life if we need to go in to deal with an incident. So that's why all of the firefighters are trained with breathing apparatus. Also in the crew cab, we've got spare cylinders, we've got some ropes underneath the seats for tying off, we've got rescue lines, we have a defibrillator, we also got some flashing blue lights in there. The event that if we're pulled up at the side of the road at an incident, it's just easy make down, so to warn traffic coming that there's an incident in progress.
Been married for 20 years, so I have. My eldest daughter is 24, and I actually got into the brigade just about a month before she was born.
Well, I suppose with this job there's a lot of health and safety and stuff like that, but it's very tempting to bypass that. You know, if someone's in serious trouble, I would definitely go and put my own sort of life at risk if it came down to that, you know.
As a full-time, it doesn't really affect more or less my family life, but when I was part-time in Mullingar, the effect was probably humongous on my family, in that they really take a secondary role in this. We can plan nothing really. In the 7 years or 8 years I was part-time in Mullingar, we never went on a holiday. It was the one saving grace about going full-time, in that although I still attend fire calls, there is no real requirement on me to show up for those fire calls outside of office hours. No, I do, yeah. I still like to turn out to the fire calls, get to know the lads, meet the lads. It's the only time I really see them.
The idea is if you're going into a building, one team will go in on the left-hand wall, the other team will go in on the right-hand wall. So the team on the left-hand wall, they have their left hand on the left wall the whole time, and they do not leave that no matter what. There's a doorway, you open the doorway, you go in and you keep on the left-hand wall. You keep going and you have at least one other person with you. They're held onto you, they're stretching out, they're searching, they're sweeping the ground, they're doing this in front of them, so in case there's anything hanging down, any electrical wires, anything.
Family life as a part-time fireman, just to try and explain it in terms of the lads that are here, can be extremely, extremely hard. The brigade, it's not a job. I would say if you ask any member of the retained fire service, even myself, I would tell you it's almost I can't hard to describe. It's almost like a vocation in life. It's your number one priority and everything else is secondary to it. So in terms of family life, yeah, no, it's very, very hard. It's like everything else. I try not to bring my job home with me. What we see, what we do here is not to be sat down at home and talked about.
You'd be thinking of your family and you're hoping that you're not going to bump into somebody that you know, that's in distress, or especially kids, I suppose. If you're going to come across kids, nobody likes to see a child hurt or anything like that, so it would bring that back home whenever you come across something like that. You'd be thinking of your family all the time.
Children are probably the hardest thing to deal with, especially when you have children. I don't know, it can remain with you, I suppose, for a few days. It just takes that little bit longer to get it out of your head.
There are times when we're going to an incident where the firefighter will have to don the breathing apparatus set on the back of the appliance. He'll turn a cylinder on, puts the face mask on his face, tightens up 2 side straps, the head strap. He'll knock off the air going to the face mask. He'll exhaust all the air in the face mask. And if he can get no air in, he's got a complete seal, so his face mask is airtight. We've got air in his face mask. He puts on his flash hood, he puts on his helmet, and he puts on his gloves. When we arrive, whether it be a car fire or a house fire, he can immediately get the hose reel and enter the building if it's safe to do so.
Okay, put out the fire and we get this guy out on top. That's good enough, Anta. Okay, hello, can you hear me? Hello? Okay, Anta, let's get him out.
You're totally relying on your other senses. You may as well have your eyes closed when you're doing this.
Yeah, what's this there?
If everybody says it, it's just sure what's wrong with you. You run into a building when everyone else runs out. It's a stereotypical thing to say for firefighters. But I don't know, it's either for you or it's not.
Grab him under the arm. Under the arm. Okay, and let's make our way out. Okay, head now.
I do my job effectively, basically, because really and truly, if I don't, someone else is going to have to. I do my job, and the thing I find most gratifying about my job is I get an opportunity, not every day, but hundreds of times every year, to help someone out of a situation that they actually can't handle. We get to save people's lives. Now and then they come back and they thank you for it, but I don't need thanks if you ever to save someone's life. The fact that I actually had a part in it is good enough for me.
I don't count myself as a hero at all, just an ordinary person doing my job. That's basically it. I definitely wouldn't describe myself as a hero by any means,
I don't class myself as a hero, yeah. As I said, it's a job, someone's got to do it.
Each station in the country has a call sign. With Athlone, we're called Whiskey Hotel 15.